Shows it's live here, it's live there, so everything should be going live here soon. Sending data to YouTube, streaming, sending data, data. Okay, go live on Instagram, because I have to do a separate button for that. Okay, so now I am streaming on Charity Low's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Let me get myself set up on Facebook so I can actually see the comments. I'm able to see the comments on all of these so far. Okay. Oh, gotta turn down the volume. Where is it? There it is. Volume off. Okay, so I can see the comments on YouTube. It's streaming. Twitch is streaming, and then I got TikTok. So just give me a minute while I pull that up on TikTok so I can see the comments there. And then the chat. So Reese, the software for streaming has updated and some of the things are not working properly. So just bear with me through this. I'm kind of just testing it out as I go. So anyways, hopefully this starts rotating. I'm actually going to count this. See if it rotates on its own. So just give me a minute. Oh, it is working. Did they fix the bug? I'm wondering. Some things look new. I'm going to let one of my friends know I am live. Is it just sticking on one because I got clicked my favorites? Let's see if that changes. Let's take off the favorites, turn it off, and turn it back on again. Studio. Should change every minute or less. Let's just see. Just give me a minute. Yeah, it's working. Let's try again. I just want it to do this by itself at least 3 times so I know that it's working. And then we can move on to the drawing. Okay, one more. Just to make sure. So when I first started using the updated version, I really enjoyed it when I figured out how to do some certain new things, but the audio director wasn't working properly. Okay, I think it's safe to say that it is working on its own today. I got that there. So one thing that I really love about this new setup is that it won't just put the camera on my face for the full screen. I get to choose when that happens, which is nice. And then I can also have multiple pictures going at once. So anyways, we are going to return to drawing the ear. I'm actually going to turn on the strobe feature. So go to Tools, go to Strobe, turn it on, increase the opacity. This way you can see the minor differences between your drawing and the reference. One of the things I need to do while I am streaming is every so often I'm going to need to film the process, because my job is to make advertisements and tutorials for the YouTube channel of the Vinci Eye App. The Vinci Eye App is the app that I'm currently using for tracing, which this app can, like as you can see, go above and beyond any other tracing method out there. So every so often you'll see a third camera pop up. There's a stand. Or not a third camera, just, I don't know how many cameras are going on right now. But you'll see a camera just pop up every so often while I film. So these live videos are the behind the scenes of my work with the Vinci Eye App. But I do also live videos on their YouTube channel every Friday from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, which I really hate. I was hoping to get some sunlight earlier in the morning, but it is what it is. This thing's in my way. Let's try to put it over here instead. So spend about 5 minutes per little video. We're slowly building up the colors. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am a portrait artist. I started doing art since I was really little because my mom was also an artist as well. She was very gifted at oil paintings and pencil drawings. So I always wanted to be just like her, but now I am beyond her, and that's her own words, not mine. And she's very proud. But I started off using this app for doing commissions during COVID lockdown because I was not allowed to work due to the fact that I had a chronic sore throat, and everybody that, like, I would let them know that this is just me, and then they're like, no, you can't work. You can't risk it. So I quit and I tried to do a day home. That didn't quite go very well either. There wasn't enough people for me to make a living off of it. There was a few people who did though. And then I found the app after I was starting to do commissions for income. I was inspired by another artist that I saw on the internet to do so. And that actually saved us from going homeless, was doing commissions. And then after a little bit, I found this app, and it really sped up the process, making it easier to sell because I could do lower prices, and then I could also get more done, which really helped. Then I was also doing fan art here and there, just as kind of like an advertisement, because everybody knows what famous people look like. And I noticed that the Vinci Eye App, or the people behind it, kept reposting my artwork on their Instagram, which made me feel super special. And I told my brother about this, and I was like, hey, they must really like my artwork for doing this. And then he said, hey, maybe you should ask them for a job. And I was like, well, it won't hurt anything. I won't lose sleep over it if they say no. So I asked them, and now I work for them, making advertisements and tutorials, and also teaching live on their YouTube channel. I also manage a bunch of other things for them, like their Facebook group, and their YouTube channel. So most of the stuff that I do is posted on their YouTube channel, which I have the right to post it on mine as well. I'll only post like a few things here and there because I really want my name to be associated with my portrait art rather than all the random stuff that I get to do. Because with my job, I get to try a whole bunch of different arts and crafts and different mediums and stuff. So I do a bunch of that kind of stuff and post on their YouTube channel of all the other stuff that you can do with the app and what materials and stuff. So I am a professional at doing portraits, but I am a jack of all trades because of my work. I have done wood burning projects, stained glass painting, quilling, fabric painting. I've used acrylics, watercolors, soft pastels, ink, like markers and pens. And I've done more than one subjects before. Like I've done a lot of portraits, people portraits and pet portraits, but I've also done a wide variety of other things. I've done murals and window paintings. And super fun that I get to try all this stuff. I really enjoy it. But before all this, I was a healthcare aide. And it was a very stressful place to work. And it wasn't because of the residents. The residents were easy to take care of. They're pretty good. Like there's a few that are a little bit harder to take care of, but they're nowhere near as how bad it was working with some certain healthcare aides who really didn't care about their work. Like it wasn't good. It wasn't a good experience. Hello, Tennille. Nice to see ya. I didn't go live yesterday because I was kind of emotionally just exhausted. I just needed a day to just chill. I ended up spending that snow day playing video games with the kids. And I was able to wear out Jenya. She fell asleep well, I shouldn't say her name. Why did I say her name? I was able to get her to sleep really easily after that because we played Just Dance. She loves dancing. I'm really bad at not saying, like trying to not say certain names. I'm gonna get into big trouble for that one of these days. Especially saying, I've said my hometown too, which isn't a good thing. Yeah, I need to really work on that, be mindful of that. Okay, I am going to use a really dark green for the outline of the ear so we can kind of sculpt it a little bit better. So I'm going to turn off the strobe And I'm going to turn down the opacity so I can barely see the tip of the pencil. I want to be able to see the the reference more than the drawing so I can get it a little bit more accurate. Just looking at the tip of the pencil, kind of drawing on the outer edge of the ear, like where you actually see the background and not on the ear itself. And this will blend in to the background later. I just wanted to be able to see where that ear is. So that line will disappear. It will eventually disappear. And we're doing light layers at a time, slowly building it up. It's easier to add more than to take away. Depending on the type of pencils you use, there are some pencils where you can erase a little bit, but that works better with lighter layers anyways. And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to set a timer for an hour, because I think every hour is going to be plenty enough for footage with this, because this is going to take me anywhere between 20 to 40 hours to complete. It all depends on how detailed the artwork is and also how much patience I have for it. And I usually have a lot of patience for the beginning, and then I just lose patience at the end. So I like to try to get all the important features done so that when I do start to lose some patience for it, it would usually end up being the background, which doesn't really matter that much, where I start to speed up the process. So what I'm doing for picking colors is I have a printed reference as well as swatches of every color of the pencils that I have, and with the names and the numbers on the pencils so I can easily pick between them. And then I compare what I see on my reference to the swatches. So I just focus on one little section and see what colors I see. There are going to be multiple colors for different areas, so you can just layer up different colors as you go to get it the right one. Just so you know, every printer is going to print the colors ever so slightly different, so you don't really need to worry too much about getting it perfect. The most important thing is to get the shading the right darkness or the highlights, the placement of the highlights. Those are the most important things to worry about. Now, if you're starting doing colored portraits, you can use an app called Colored Pencil Picker. There's a couple of different versions of the app. One has pre-made palettes for like popular or higher brand pencils like Prismacolor and Faber-Castell. Or you can make your own, which honestly you can even use it for more than just pencils. Like you can use it for your paints too if you want. But what you do is you just click on the section that you want to work on. It will give you the colors in that particular part and how many layers you need to add. And this was like a good jump start for training your eye to see undertones, learning a little bit about color theory. But it's something that I've personally used in the beginning, but I have started just using this method instead. If you don't have a printer, you can also just put it on a tablet, an extra device, and also upload it to a photo editing app or a drawing app. And then click on the area that you want to draw, or the area you're trying to figure out what color it is. Use like the color picker, which it looks like a little like turkey baster. I don't know what the name of it's called. And you just use that, pick it up, and then it'll show in like a circle or whatever that color in that area, and then you just try to match it as close to your swatches as best as possible. So there are many, many different ways to get good results. So I've collected all the pencils that that I've already used on the side here, so that I kind of have like as cohesive colors throughout, so it does look like it's part of the same person, if that makes any sense. Yeah. I think I need to add a little bit of red. You can start putting a little bit more pressure at this point, because I think we got a fairly good placement of the colors and the highlights and stuff. So you can add a little bit more pressure. Not too hard that we indent the paper, just firm pressure. I am not going to varnish it quite yet, or is that how you call what you call it? I don't know what you call it. I think it is varnishing. Anyways, for pencils, it's a different meaning than painting. What essentially that is just blending or pushing the pigment into the page really strongly. There's many different ways to do that, but I'm not going to do it right away. I use a colorless pencil. I got mine from Prismacolor. There are other blending techniques you can use. One is there's a marker version of blender that you can also get from Prismacolor, but it kind of has a marker finish to it. So just keep that in mind, and you have to clean it every so often. I'm not 100% sure how to clean it, but I'm pretty sure you can figure that out on your own through searching up YouTube videos and stuff. You can use a white colored pencil to push everything in, but it makes all the colors very soft, not as vivid. Or you can use the lightest color in that section to push in that color and make it more solid. So using the pencils kind of gives it more of like an oil painting kind of look. If you place down the colors properly in the first place. So like slowly building up and fading by lighter pressure as you go away from that section. There's also other ways that kind of give it more of like a marker look, which is the marker that I was talking about, the colorless marker that's made for blending pencils. You can use hand sanitizer and a Q-tip, or depending on the pencils you're using, look up different solutions that you can use for blending. Different pencils are made out of different materials. So like, for example, Prismacolor is a wax-based, so you need a solution that will help break up the wax so that it can seep into the paper a little bit better. Polychromos, Faber-Castell are made out of oil, so you need to figure out what solution that you can use for breaking up oil. And then you can use a brush for those solutions. But I didn't do a lot of research on those. Those are just things that I've come to learn about through my own studying of creating art. So there's many different ways to get very similar results. There are slight differences, pros and cons to each one. So you just play around with it, do some experimenting with different things, and then find what you like best. I do think we are done with the ear for now. So let's move on. I think I might work from the top of the face downwards. So we're going to work on the forehead. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I want to see the forehead as a whole while doing this. I need to be very careful about those little hairs that are just coming down on his forehead. I'm going to show you a trick you can use. I don't think it is really the best option, or yeah, I don't know if it's going to be the best option, but it is an option. First, I'm going to take my knead eraser. I'm just going to erase the outline from like the basic tracing that I did in the first video that I made of this. And then I'm going to go and choose the lightest color of the hair that I see on his forehead. And it is very small, so kind of a little bit difficult to tell which color to use. It is not pure white, so I think I might go with like a creamy yellow color. And I'm going to just go over the general area of where that hair is. I'm not too worried about getting it in the exact space right now. There are some methods in which you can use to preserve this little section of hair. One is to just work around it, which is very tedious. And the other one is actually using some sort of pen or something with like a sharp point to indent the paper, so it will make it so you can't color on those little lines. So I find this is a great technique for whiskers, and also preserving highlights and like the catch lights of the eyeball. I'm going to have to do this method a lot with his hair, with the indenting. I think I need to have something a little darker. Don't think it's quite dark enough. Just a little. I'm going to take that warm brown, that orangey brown, with very light pressure, going over that whole area with that gold, like just in that area. Very, very, very light. And then there's like a little hair over here too that has like the same color. So very lightly place that down. So then you're going to take an empty pen and you're going to take a piece of paper. So what I did to get this empty pen is that I opened it up, pulled out the ink thing, and then I scribbled on a piece of paper until it was no longer coming out. And I felt like I needed to do this every time I used this pen. So It's pretty clear now because I've been using it multiple times on different projects. But what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in to where those little hairs are. I'm going to turn off the strobe, turn down the opacity so we can see our pen, the tip of our pen. We are looking at the pen while doing this, the very tip of the pen. And we're going to push down quite firmly, indenting the paper. This is the only time when indenting the paper is okay. And then we're going to push down and do the other line, indenting the paper. So what this does is it makes it very difficult to color in these little hairs. So we're going to do the same here. And then for the little hairs on this side as well, we're going to preserve those. So as we draw, you'll see those pop up a little bit more. But this is a method I'm probably going to be doing a lot of on his hair because his hair is so light. We'll just see. I'm thinking about it. Now, when you look at it right now, it looks like it's quite a bit darker than the rest, but that will change when you add colors on top. So his forehead is kind of more of like a purpley blue in some areas. But let's work from the lightest color to the darkest color. So a little highlight right here in the corner. And try to match it to the colors on your swatches the best as you can. So this is a light skin tone right in here. And let's turn on the strobe again. Turn it on, turn the opacity to its fullest. We don't have to worry about getting the placement exactly correct. We're doing light pressure and circular motions. I'm holding the pencil at the end. This way I can kind of use this side of the pencil. And this also helps with keeping that nice soft pressure. And we're just slowly building it up. You won't see the first layer very well, but it will add up. You will eventually start seeing it. But you really do need to slowly build it up so that you can get a really nice blended look. Pencils are very hard to blend. There are some tools out there designed for blending, but it can only do so much. You still need to be able to make a illusion of actual blending. So that is slowly building up layers upon layers upon layers, and then also learning how to fade out as you go outwards. It really is important for the darker shades, not as important for the lighter shades. Okay, is there any undertones that need to go over that? If we were to imagine that we take away the color that we see, what we originally saw, what color is left? That's kind of how I would imagine it. So I would say it's a blue, a light blue. Then we just place this in the areas where we see that light blue. Very lightly do a very light layer of this over top. Only in the places where you see it, and then we can kind of fade it out by doing even lighter pressure as we go away from those sections. And again, you won't see the colors immediately. It will come when you put on more layers. Okay, let's go in again with that light beige. Doing another layer over top, still with that light pressure and circular motions. Holding the pencil at the end so we can kind of use the side of the pencil. And also it helps with controlling that pressure so we don't get too heavy-handed. I think I might add a little bit of that darker beige too. I'm not giving you the exact name of these pencils because each pencil set's going to name their pencils ever so slightly. So we're going to do a light layer of this darker beige over top. If you get really close to the hairline, don't worry about it too much. We can still work with it. This is just a very light layer, so we can always add more to it. But very slowly. Do it very, very, very slowly. He barely has any eyebrows. So light. It's mostly just a shadow. So light pressure and circular motions and kind of slowly getting lighter as you move away from that area to help create the blended look. It is a technique that is very important for doing nice and smooth textures. Okay, now let's go into the darker areas now and let's see what we need to add. So which one best suits those darker sections? I think it's still the tanner, like the darker tan color or darker beige. And it's right underneath the hair right here. And then a little bit over the eyebrow right in here. We can use the app for placements. So I'm putting a little bit of pressure on here and then fading it out a little bit away from the section that I was just doing. And then same with here. I'm going to try to follow the shape. Let's try to follow the shape with the circular motions, filling in all that area that we see it. I'm going to kind of trace the outline by doing circular motions. And then filling it in with that light pressure. We still want to have a pretty light pressure on this. Circular motions, light pressure, holding the pencil at the end, trying to use the side of the pencil as well, as that will help with consistent pressure. Keeping it a light-handed pressure. Okay, let's see what kind of undertones we see. First off, I see a bit of a pinkish tone. This would be like a coral color. Not in all of that section, just in a few parts of it. So we're gonna add that. It's kind of like an L shape is where I see it. light pressure and circular motions, holding the pencil at the end so we can kind of use the side of the pencil a little bit. And it also helps control our pressure so we don't get too heavy-handed. We want to do light pressure so we can add more layers, which will help with getting the right color, getting the right placement, and also creating a blended, smooth transition between the colors. Many different reasons for it. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, you should be able to hear me. Then I also see a slight bluish tone in some of the places as well. So I'm going to take that blue again. It's a light blue. I'm just going to place it right where I see it and then kind of blend outward. So first we're going in where we can see it. And then just slowly fade it out away from that shape, doing even lighter pressure until you're barely even touching it. Just as light as a feather. Now you can kind of start seeing it come together. Again, it's not going to be super noticeable until we start getting to like the third or fourth layer. I'm gonna look at I think I might look at the lighter part that's on the other side of the forehead. So let's take a look and see what color best matches it. Honestly, it's kind of like that warm brown, the orangey brown. I'm gonna turn off the strobe for now and then turn down the opacity so that we can barely see the tip of our pencil. And I'm gonna do a light line just on the inner side of the thing between, like that line between his forehead and the background. So just a very thin, light line. This helps me keep the shape correct and accurate. And then for this, we're gonna put on the left side on the forehead this color, circular motions, light pressure, holding the pencil at the end, kind of using the side of the pencil. This helps with lighter pressure, to keep nice control over the pressure, and also helps with the illusion of blended colors. So we're gonna do that outline and just slowly do even lighter pressure as you go inward until it gets to the point where you're just touching it just as lightly as a feather. So we're gonna need to build up on that quite a bit, but let's put the strobe back on, turn the opacity to its fullest. I think we might add some more, a bit of a thicker line, kind of a line all the way down. I want to try to stay away from creating lines, like very thin lines, unless if it's for like the texture of the hair, and also very light lines for creating the shape of the outer part of the object or whatever you're drawing. But it's mostly just a transition between, like a quick transition between light and dark, which creates the so-called lines. Lines don't really exist in the real world, is what my art teacher once told me. So the format of these videos that I'm doing are all the same across many platforms. So some of them are not going to be as good as others for placement of certain images. Just letting you know. So like TikTok might be a little bit uncomfortable to watch. But I am on YouTube. YouTube should be fine. Or Twitch. Okay, let's see. What undertones do we see in that? I see a little bit of green, very light green, almost like an olive green. Yeah, it looks like an olive green. And it's mostly on the top part of his forehead. Make sure your pencils stay nice and sharp. So yeah, I'm going to use a pencil sharpener. It's going to get loud. So light pressure and circular motion starting off right where we see that color. And again, we're just slowly building it up. This helps us be able to get the right color, the right shade, the right placement, if you just work little by little. And if you can't see the undertones right away, there are apps that can at least get you started in being able to see such things. One is the Colored Pencil Picker. It is an app that, there's many different versions of the app. There's one with pre-made palettes for pencils, colored pencils. And you just click on the section you're trying to draw and it will bring up all the colors that it sees in that section. And it'll tell you how many layers to use. And it'll also give you what it might look like with the pencils and what it should look like in comparison to the actual photo. So it's not a 100% guaranteed of perfect colors, but it will get you started in being able to see the undertones. You'll be like, hey, why is there green here? Like what we're doing right now. Or why is there a dark red here when you click on these sections using the Colored Pencil Picker app. Now, I'm not sponsored by them, but it was one of my favorite tools when I started doing colors again after not using colors for so many years. But I actually I find it a little bit more accurate after you learn color theory by practicing. I found it quite more accurate if you print off the piece, the photograph, and compare it to your own swatches. But it's a good start. It's a good start. Now I'm going to look at the darkest part of his forehead and let's see what the main color is in here. So what can we see? I'm going to start off with the darker beige and then we'll build upon that with other colors. We're still doing light pressure and circular motions. Let's fill that all in as best as we can in the right placement. And you'll start to see those little indents get brighter as we add more dark colors to it. Normally you do not want to indent the paper, but when we were preserving highlights like lighter hair or whiskers or whatever, even catch lights, then we can indent the paper to protect it. But there are many different ways to preserve those white or light areas. So find something that works for you. So again, we're just slowly building up, getting slowly darker and darker and darker. Because we want to be able to add as many layers as we possibly can. This helps with having a nice blended look at the end. Also helps with getting the right colors down. If you do too much pressure right away, there is no more like texture to the paper that will be able to pick up the colors. Oh, that was an electric eraser. Okay, what is the next color we see in that section to make it darker? Looks like a purple to me. Let's see what purple would best be used for this. Now what you see for colors might be slightly different than what I see for colors because there are more than one way to mix colors. Like I'll give you an example. You can break it down into primary colors. So we just use red, yellow, and blue. So this would be red and blue. So if you might see a bit of red, you might and a bit of blue, then that works. Or you can find a color that is red and blue, which is purple, and put that down. If you're making skin tone from scratch, it's the colors pink, white, and yellow are the basics for light skin tones. But you can break that down into something a little bit more simple. You can use red, white, and yellow for just the basic skin tones. You can mix red and green to make brown. You can mix blue and orange to make brown. You can mix purple and yellow to make brown, or you can use red, yellow, and blue to make brown. They will be slightly different colors, just slightly different, but all those make brown. And that's pretty much color theory. So if you really want to learn how to do like color theory, you try to do like a piece of artwork with just black, white, red, yellow, and blue. I think I want to challenge myself to do a photorealistic portrait with just those basics. Okay, now what's the other colors that we see? Kind of see like a darker brown in some parts of it. I may need to still play around with it after the fact to make sure the shading is just right, making it a little bit darker still. But I'm just gonna get it until I feel like the structure of the face is pretty much down, if that makes any sense. And then I can always add more later. So that's why we're not putting a lot of pressure on it to varnish it quite yet when we're working on this, but I want to be able to get the placement and the colors right. We can focus more on the shading later. And there's a little bit of that right here too. Do you see how those hairs are just popping up a little bit more now? I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm going to add a little bit more around that area so you can kind of see it a bit more. And it's allowed to get quite a bit darker in here anyways. I just want you to really see that pop through those highlights of the hairs that we preserved. Can you see it? I don't know. You can possibly barely see it, but it's there. They are there. Let's see if I can zoom in. See if I can zoom in from the top. So let's go. Camera settings. No, not camera settings. Let's go exit. Image control. Not the head. This part right here. Let's see if I can zoom in even further so you guys can see that. No, as close as it's gonna get. You can't see it, but I see it. Okay, we're gonna zoom out again. Okay. I think I'm gonna still build up on this a little bit more before I move on. I'm gonna grab that coral or like salmon pink, whatever you want to call it. It's one of the two. Your colors might be slightly different names than what I use because you're using a different pencil set than I am. And that is okay. I'm putting a little bit more pressure at this point. Just to kind of build up some more color. Looking mostly at the reference photo that I'm working from rather than the app. The app helps a little bit for placements. But I really kind of want to focus on the reference photo in my drawing. Kind of see that salmon color right over this as well. So I'm going to add that. And I think I might add a little bit more blue here. And I'm going to build that up with, go over that with a bit of beige. I'm going to do the light beige for now. And go over that. Okay, I think that's pretty good for now. Let's move on to the cheek. We will still play around with it a little bit more once we get everything done so we can get the shading right. Let's move over to the cheek and the side of the face. Now, you might notice this. There's two separate, like two different types of light or highlights. There's the direct highlight. It's coming directly from the sun or any other light source. And then there's a reflective light. So that's like the little highlight on the tip of the nose here, the side of the cheek, or even there's a reflected light right on his jawline from his shirt, where you can see the color just kind of bounce onto his cheek, bouncing off the shirt and onto his jawline here. And it's kind of cool. It's one really cool thing about light and color in objects and stuff is that the colors kind of bounce off each other. I think it's cool. I'm going to take the knead eraser. I'm going to erase those graphite lines I did in an earlier video, because I don't want those graphite lines to be seen. I'm going to create the definition between the neck and the jawline with shadows and highlights. I'm starting to get hungry. So starting off with the lightest colors that we see. And that is definitely a creamy yellow color. Light pressure and circular motions. We're going to do really tight circular motions so it has like a nice smooth finish. And we're just going all the way where we see that color, even as an undertone. And at first you're going to see nothing, but there is something there. Trust me. And then the next color that we see, that is the second lightest. It's definitely that light beige. I kind of see it over top of that creamy yellow. I think we might need to do a little bit of a darker yellow actually in some areas, just ever so slightly. So light pressure and circular motions. I'm not going to worry about the neck quite yet. We'll do that later. And then going in with that light beige. A little bit over top of that yellow. doing circular motions and light pressure. And this is pretty much covering the entire face. So we want to try to preserve some of those highlights and then cover the rest of the area with that beige tone. We're doing light pressure, holding the pencil at the end so we can kind of use the side of the pencil rather than the tip. That allows it for nice, smooth textures. And then it also helps us control our pressure, which allows us to do more layers, which also helps with the nice, smooth texture at the end as well. I know, it looks like nothing. It is there. I promise you it's there. It's how I did every single section of his face so far. And get going into the next color that we see. And this one's a darker beige color. And where is it that we see this darker beige? You can see a few little sections, like right where the sideburns are, just like and then on the lower part of his cheeks and on the corner of his eyes. We're gonna fill in those areas with light pressure and circular motions. And then we can also slowly fade it outwards, doing even lighter pressure to have like a nice transition between the two colors. Doing very light layers makes it easier for you to make changes as you go, whether that be in the placement. The color needs to be changed ever so slightly. It's just a little bit more flexible this way. And with some pencils, you can actually erase it if you're doing light layers. Not all pencils are erasable though, so you gotta figure out which ones do and which ones don't. I'll tell you this, Faber-Castell does erase a little bit. It'll erase the first, like the last layers that you've put down. So, yeah. It'll take it right off as is with all these light layers, but when you start putting heavier layers on, then it won't erase a lot of it, just a little bit of it. So light pressure and circular motions and slightly fading it outwards to the rest of the face by doing even lighter pressure. You guys are free to talk to me. There's a little bit of a mark here that just popped out of nowhere. I'm going to take my electric eraser and I'm just going to take that off. There, it's off. Just like that. Taking a horsehair brush. Horsehair brush. Not a hairbrush for horses. We can kind of start seeing the build up of the structure of the face. Start seeing it come through. So I have you know what, I just realized this too. I have a drawing of my daughter blowing bubbles and she's wearing a little bit of pink. And then I have my son who has got these really loud squeaky toys who is wearing blue. So I think I got a nice little you know, set of art that works together very well. It's a pink girl and blue boy. Oh, it's so perfect. I love it. And it's not just like pink girl and blue boy. It's originally like an old oil painting of a little girl wearing a pink dress and a boy wearing a blue suit. And then my mom kind of did the same thing with me and my nephew, where she painted me as a newborn baby with a pink blanket over me. And then she did the same for my nephew in blue. So she kind of took it off of that theme. And now I'm doing that, but I didn't actually purposely did that, but I do think they're going to look very nice side by side. They're both outdoors, close to green. It's going to look really nice on the wall. Okay, what other colors do we see? I'm seeing that coral or salmon color. I'm going to add that right at the bottom of the cheeks is where I see it. Light pressure and circular motions, and fading away from it very slowly with even lighter pressure. See it slowly coming together? Okay. Do I still need to add this color anywhere else? It's very light pressure and circular motions. Okay, it's been an hour since I made a little video, filmed a little bit of this, so I am going to quickly take a quick 5-minute video of this. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself while I'm filming. You're going to take this little cord out of the way so it looks nice and clean for the video. So you're probably wondering what I'm doing. So I do accept commissions. That's how I started getting into the art business, was doing commissions. But my job is actually way cooler than that. I work for the Vinci Eye App, which is the app that I'm currently using. It is a tracing app for traditional artists, based off of old tracing methods like the camera lucida, which has been used like in the 1400s. So tracing's not a new thing. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, it's cheating." Well, this might be the cheatiest cheat way that you could trace, but it's just a tool. And if you can freehand, that's amazing. Anyways, so what I do for work is I make advertisements and tutorials for the Vinci Eye app. And what I'm doing is making those videos right now. So that's what these live videos are. They are just behind the scenes of what I do for work. Now, I also teach live on their YouTube channel every Friday from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And yeah. And those, I have the reference photos posted so you can draw along with me. They're either in the, like you can either get them in the Vinci Eye app, look under Charity Lowe's art, find my profile, and should be in my inspirations. Or it's on the Vinci Eye app Facebook group in the featured posts. Or it's on my personal Facebook page under Charity Lowe's art, also on the featured posts. So you can draw along with me from beginning to end while watching me live, or even after the fact. You can catch up by watching older videos and doing those too. For those videos though, they're not going to always be portraits. They can do other things like wood burning, fabric painting, stained glass painting. We can do multiple different subjects other than people, different mediums. You can challenge me to do something like, hey, try to draw realistic portraits with the cheapest pencils you can find, or just doing the primary colors, or we can do some focused studies like eyes and lips and hair. Whatever you want to learn, just let me know and we can do that on their YouTube channel. So, and all the lessons are free. You do not need to pay for anything. And then even that, I can give you a promo code for the iOS app to try it for free for an entire year. Just send me a message somehow. If you're watching me through a streaming service that doesn't have a direct message, go on to something else like Facebook or Instagram and send me a message there. Android version right now is free because they just dropped their newest version of it and they want to have people use it and then give their honest review of it before they start charging for the app. It does come with some ads, so you can try for certain features. But I recommend as soon as you find out as soon as you know for sure that you're going to love this app and you're going to use it often, then pay for it as soon as possible, because when they increase the prices, which they inevitably do because of, cost of living and stuff like that, they will grandfather you into the price that you originally agreed upon. I was really lucky. Like if I wasn't working for them, I would be, I was extremely lucky that I bought it when it was a one-time purchase. So I don't get the yearly subs. And right now for subs for the iOS subscription, it is only $29.99 a year. That's about less than $3 a month. So skip that coffee once a month, and you can pay for it. Skip the Starbucks coffee once a month. I'm just teasing you. I can't afford to go to a coffee place that often. That's okay. So I got the 5 minutes already done for my filming. Again, I will be stopping every hour to film a little bit here and there. My aim is to stay here for about 2 hours a day during the weekday. I missed yesterday because I needed a mental break. I just completely turned off everything and just took a nice long nap, which was awesome. Don't get that very often. And then spent the whole day with my kids. It was a snow day, so it was an extra long day. But it was a good one. So I'm planning on going live every day of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'll be live on the Vinci Eye App YouTube channel every Friday from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So, but not all days. I won't be able to make all days for my personal stuff, but I'll try. I'll try to do so. And it's going to be usually around the same time from like 10 to 12-ish. Maybe sooner, maybe later. It all depends on where I'm at with my other work. Because I get to do a bunch of other things too. I can name some stuff for you as well. I manage their Facebook group. I make sure that I have answers ready for anybody who needs help with anything. I do one-on-one video calls every so often to help people set up the app. I host challenges and giveaways for cash prizes. The challenges are randomly drawn for prizes, and there's competitions that have cash prizes as well. And I do that each one on a yearly basis. So like just before Christmas and then halfway through the year is when I do those, when I host those. I help pick out the daily references for the app. Lately I noticed he's been doing his own thing, but that's okay. When it comes to the developer who's actually posting them. But I'm fine with that. That's okay. I help manage the editing team, which is fun. I do voiceovers and add music. I do the filming for the videos. I just don't edit them per se. Like I don't do a lot of editing. I just do the sound and the filming. And then I am in control of the posting, writing descriptions and titles, and scheduling stuff. What else? I think that's practically it. Well, I make thumbnails too for the videos. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of little things here and there, but they add up. Like I can't get through all of them. I respond to all the comments on their YouTube channel. We like having it so that people can ask questions and they can actually talk to a real person, although most of them think that it's a bot talking, which it's not. It's not. It's me. I'm responding to those comments on the Vinci Eye App YouTube channel. I am a real person. I promise. Yeah. I had a really, really funny comment that I read today, and it was, so is this how they make those soulmate sketches where they draw you a picture and then of somebody who looks like your soulmate, and then you find them in real life? I thought it was hilarious. Like, yeah, that's funny. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's like this AI company of some sort where it's just a scam. You pay money to get a AI image that looks like a sketch sent to you of your so-called soulmate. It's quite funny. Okay, I think I might add that blue just as that reflected color that comes from his shirt. Now, what color blue is it, is the question. It's kind of like a darker blue. A darker blue. So light pressure and circular motions. Want to get it all over that area where we see that reflected blue from his shirt. It's really cool how light will just reflect colors from like surrounding objects onto other objects. It's really cool to me. getting so hungry. I didn't really eat much for breakfast, and then I was feeling a little snackish, so I grabbed something small and ate that. And I should have had more, because I want to stay on this live as long as possible. And see that reflected blue, and then I'm going to slightly bring it out, getting lighter, even lighter pressure as I go outwards to create a nice blended look. I'm going to do the same on the one side of, like the bottom side of the jaw. Just on the other side, just light pressure and slowly get even lighter as we go outwards to help create a nice smooth transition between colors. I have such beautiful children. They are so beautiful. Okay, now what color do I see? I see a bit of purple too. There's a little stripe of purple right here, and then it blends out. So I'm just doing a very light circular motion, trying to get that placement just right. And then it just goes from like a line and then kind of fades outward as it goes up. So light pressure and circular motions, kind of getting a wider, covering a wider section. Might as well work on the neck too. We're here, we might as well finish it. And then we just get slowly blend it outwards, especially in that wider section. Just get it nice and lighter pressure as we go out to create the illusion of a blend. So since we're here at the neck anyways, we might as well work on it. It's just a small section, so let's just go ahead. So let's look at the brightest color we have that we see. And go straight into the cream color. It's pretty much everywhere. We're still going to start off with light layers and circular motions. Holding the pencil at the end so we can use the side of the pencil easier and also control that pressure. And then what's the second color we see? Beige. So we're just going over top of that light beige color. And then for that shadow is going to be kind of interesting. Let's see, what color do we see? It's kind of got a purple undertone to it, but it's pretty much gray and black. Kind of got the same purplish undertone as that other purple we put down. I am starting to collect a lot of pencils here. I'm going to turn off the strobe and then turn down the opacity until I can barely see the tip of my pencil. Because I want to be able to see the reference photo more than my drawing. And we're going to look at the tip of the pencil, tracing that darker line. We're not going on the shirt, we're just going right beside it. And I'm just doing soft pressure to get that, and kind of doing more of a sketchy line, just to kind of help keep it like soft. So we got that. And then we're going to do a softer, wider line on the side of it, on the neck, not on the shirt, with light pressure and circular motions. Then I'm going to use a gray. I could go over top of that. I'm going to start with that line, that dark line that goes all the way down from that top all the way down to the bottom. I'm doing sketchy, little tiny sketchy marks so that we can kind of keep it still fairly soft, not too harsh. And then you just add a little bit of a transitioning shade between that line, right where we put that purple earlier. And then for the really dark areas, we're going to bring in some black. So I noticed that it's pretty much, the darkest area is just in the top part of this, just behind his neck. Let me see, can I see? Might need to turn down the opacity just a little bit more. Come on. And we're really focusing on the tip of that pencil to mark that down. It's just right in here. There's a dark shadow. I'm kind of doing really tight, very small circular motions. And then we're going to go from there, and then we're going to get lighter and lighter as we go down to kind of blend that into the gray. And that's how you do it. That's a good start. Let's turn the opacity up and then turn on the strobe as well. So we can see the differences between our drawing and the reference in real time, so we can change things to make them as close to the original as possible. With the app, you really don't have to get this detailed. It's just me, it's just my method, it's just my style. I love doing this. It's relaxing. It helps me stop and see the world, how the light hits certain objects. It's just interesting to see it. I'm going to put that pink beige color over top of the blue, especially on the outer edge of the blue, and then get lighter as we go closer to the center of it. This helps with like a really nice blended look again, so yeah. And I think I might use a slight, like a darker beige for in between his jawline and his neck in just a few little spots. Okay, I'm gonna move over to the rest of his cheek. I missed a chunk right in between the pink and the shadow, so we're gonna fill that in. What is the lightest color we see in that section? And we're gonna go straight for that darker beige. So just circular motions and light pressure. There was a highlight that appeared that wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. And we got that coral color. And yes, I know there's sections of the face that still need to be darker. But we'll work on that later. We'll fix it up. And then there's like a shadow on the laugh line. What color is that laugh line? So very tight circular motions just to get that main line, but it's a very soft line. We want it to be very soft so that it doesn't look like he's got a giant wrinkle. We want it to be soft. And then we want to fade that outward on both, just above the lip and also just above on the side of the cheek. We don't want to do a very hard line on this. So do you see how I'm holding my pencil? This is how I hold it when it's not that much of a difference between holding it to the tip versus the end. So instead of holding it at the tip with longer pencils like I do to use the side, I hold it at the end and I kind of hold it underneath my palm instead of above. This way I can kind of control it a little bit better with pressure and using the side of the pencil still, even though the pencil is getting short. I think we got that pretty good. I think I might go back over it with a little bit of coral still. Again, we're going to add more to it as a whole later so we can get that nice shadow. But it is starting to come together. You're starting to see the face. It's all good. Now I've got to do the chin. There's not a lot to do on the chin. I'm going to start off with the chin, turning off the strobe here, with a blue outline, because we're going to outline just where the shirt is, just on the other side of the chin and jawline with that blue. And we just want to turn down the opacity just to the point where we can see the tip of the pencil, but we see mostly the shirt. So we're tracing just at the end of the shirt. So make sure we're on the shirt side of the line that separates the chin and the cheek and the jaw from the shirt. This will all blend in later, but this helps get the right shape of his chin and cheek and jawline. Very light pressure to do this, okay? I'm going to move over so I can get the same outline of the nose too, because I feel like we need to define that a little bit better as well. Just right where the shirt is. Okay, now that we got that, we can work on sharpening the chin and the cheek and the jawline and the nose, making sure it's nice and filled in properly. Oh, I might need to do a quick adjustment on the chin a little bit more. Let's bring that in. Okay, so what is the lightest color we see in this section? There's still a little bit of blue coming down. So we're going to add that. We will add skin tone over top of it, just so you know. And then there's like a light pink in here. Just light pressure and circular motion, slowly building up the color. Doing it nice and slow makes it easier to make changes as you need to, changing the color or the placement. I'm going to take a look. I want to do coral. I think that's the color I want. Or salmon. One of the two. So just light pressure and circular motion, just right where you see that color. And then also do a little transition between that section to the others by doing even a lighter pressure, going outwards, even lighter until it's to the point where you're touching it as soft as a feather. Starting to run out of words. There's a slight orange brown on the bottom part of his nose, doing very tight circular motions to kind of create a softer line across the nose. And there's that orangey brown on the bottom of his chin too. I think that's fairly good for now. Again, once we get all the skin tone done, we can go over it and get like the right shades and stuff on top of it. But we got the color and we got the placement down. We got the structure down. I'm ready for a nap. Should I stay or should I go? These drawings takes forever. Let's see. Where am I at? It says I have about 30 minutes before that next hour mark. So I think we'll finish that 30 minutes and then do another 5 minutes of filming and then call it good. Grab something to eat. So we're gonna start working on the arms. And I know it's a big jump between the face and the arms, but I wanna get all the skin. I wanna get it all done. I'm going to take the knead eraser. I'm going to erase those graphite markings that I did in the first video that I made of this drawing. Just so we can barely see the graphite. We do not want the graphite to poke through, so that's why we're trying to get rid of most of it. The chickens are going to be really fun to do. They have such an interesting textures to them. So I can't wait to see how I'm going to do that. I don't have a game plan. Everything is at a whim. I might as well do all of it. I might as well just erase all of the sections where the skin is, just so that the graphite doesn't poke through. Okay, let's start. We're going to work from the left, working our way to the right. And let's see the colors that let's see if we can find the latest color or the undertones. Let's try the undertones. I see a blue. I see blue very lightly. And it's mostly right next to the shirt. So we're gonna do light pressure and circular motions, filling in the area in which we see that blue. I'm holding the pencil at the end so I can use the side of the pencil. This all helps with a nice smooth finish. I know you can't see what I'm putting down. It's very light, but it will add up. You want to slowly build up the layers. This helps with a blended look at the end. You can also make adjustments easier. I'm so sorry. I've just been super tired lately. We're having a late winter. You guys can't see my window. But like yesterday was like 1.5 feet of snow. Schools were closed, which is unusual. Doesn't happen very often here. We usually can get a lot of snowfall and then be perfectly fine for schools and stuff. But it's just when we get it really fast in the middle of the night where everybody's sleeping, nobody's shoveling. That's when we close the schools. And we might as well go over the other part of the arm too, making sure that we stay within those lines. Let me see. I want to see something real quick. How are the line up for the chickens? They're slightly off, but that's okay. Not too worried about it. I'm just lightly tracing the bottom of his arm with that light tan. And then I'm going to also lightly trace the top of his arm with that light tan. There's still some graphite I need to pick up, so I'm going to do that right now. Then we're going to fill in all of this arm with this tan. So light pressure and circular motions. Do you hear my birds? I want to tell you an unbelievable story because I feel like it. So it's been a few years now. But I remember just finished drawing Katniss Everdeen with her bow and arrow and her red outfit. And I posted it on TikTok and it was going crazy. It was probably the most popular TikTok video, time-lapse video I have. I think it still is. Anyways, I just posted it and I'm in my living room next, like at my art desk, just watching it goes by and like all the comments and stuff coming in and just really admiring my own work, because a lot of the time when I finish a piece of artwork, I go, how did I even do that? Anyways, and I also had supper at that art desk, and I'm in a corner in between two windows. One window looks out to the front yard, the other window looks out to the shed beside our house. And I noticed that there was a deer eating grass behind the shed next to our house. And I was like, oh, cool. hey, and then I asked, like I told my son about it, and he came and looked at it, and he's like, that's really cool. And then we went back, and I went back to seeing the numbers just grow on that one video. And then in the corner of my eye, as I'm sitting right next to the window, I see the deer get very scared. It was very scared that it didn't know which direction to go except for through my window into my living room. So it crashed through the window, knocked over one of my computers, and we have hardwood floors and laminate floors. So as it's in our house with glass everywhere, it's trying to run around, but it can't. It's just slipping. It looked like Bambi on ice. And I'm in shock, screamed for a little bit, but as soon as I came to understanding what the heck was happening, went into full mama bear mode and started wrestling a deer out my back door. At first I was trying to grab it by the fur, but it was springtime, so the fur was just coming off. All that winter coat was just coming off so easily that I couldn't get a good grip of it. And then eventually it played dead. And so I grabbed it, wrapped my arm around its neck, dragged it to my back door, and it just, as soon as it realized what I was doing, it jumped up and ran out my back door. I wasn't wearing any shoes at the time. I had a tiny piece of glass stuck in my foot. I had some glass cuts on my face, arms. And I had bruising on my feet. The worst part of it all, though, well, there's two pretty bad parts about that, is I was 27 weeks pregnant during that time. So it was a very stressful moment for not just me, but for my baby. She was fine, though. She was perfectly fine. And the other worst part is that ever since then, my autistic son has always been afraid that there's going to be a deer that jumps through our window. We've moved since then, but he still asks if it's going to happen. Is the deer going to jump through our window? And I'm like, no, most of our windows are too small. But yeah, that was a very interesting experience. I have a totally different view of it now than I did then, but yeah. And then I made it on the my local newspaper. So we're just slowly building up the color. Light pressure and circular motions. I want to tell you another interesting story, situation that happened to me. This was when I was a health care aide in the dementia unit. I'm not going to name any names or places, but there was one lady. We're all getting ready to have supper, and I get her to the table, and she starts screaming. She goes, "I'm in labor. I'm gonna have a baby." And I'm like, when you're working in the dementia unit, you're supposed to kind of go along with their moments of disillusion or whatever you want to call it. So I took her to her room. I got her to lay on the bed. I put her sheet over her knees, just like as if she was about to give birth on the birthing table. And I reintroduced myself as a baby doctor. And she was a woman who liked to collect dolls. So I grabbed one of the baby dolls she has, and I snuck it behind me, and I'm like, okay, push. And she's pushing, and then like, one more. And then I pull out the baby doll. I give it to her, and I'm like, it's a girl. And she starts bawling her eyes out. She's like, oh, she's the most beautiful thing I ever seen. And then she informed me that she was having twins. I don't remember exactly how I dealt with that, but I was kind of nervous because I was like, oh no, I should have grabbed an extra doll. But I honestly can't remember how I took care of that one. I think I did take another doll off of her display for that she collected. But it was both funny and kind of heartwarming too at the same time, that like, especially when she started crying in joy of like having a baby, even though she was like, you know, with older lady with dementia. But she was a lady who had a lot of babies. So it kind of made sense that it was one of her core memories, is because she had so many children. And usually that's what they kind of lean into, is just past memories, is when they start having these episodes of being in, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. But you're just supposed to go along with it, and it's usually something of their past anyways. Oh, I slept in for far too long today. Oh, no. I broke a pencil. It's because I have my phone plugged in. Oh, no. So sad. Broke a pencil. Okay. I'm going to add some more of this darker beige. Just keep on building up until I get it to the right shade. Just light pressure and circular motions. There's one thing I want to do. I'm going to have a ton of arts and crafts that I do, and I don't have a place. I don't have a home for them. And I want a lot of this stuff to be given away for free for like a random draw or something on my social media platforms, so that it can go to somebody who would really enjoy it, to have it in their home. So yeah, I want to do that. I don't know when I'm going to start doing that. I would like to have some more followers. Like if I can get 1,000 followers on Facebook, I will definitely do a giveaway. I don't know if you guys can see. I don't know if you guys can see my shelf, but I have quilling projects, I have wood burning projects, I got stained glass painting projects. I got a set of shot glasses that I painted with stained glass, which St. Patrick's themed. I don't know where it's going. I don't drink. And then I got a bunch of drawings too. I would really enjoy having giveaways. Okay, let's bring in some of the darker colors to go over top of it. Let's see what colors we see. So we see this brown right in the crease of his arm here. I'm doing very tight circular motions, so they're very small with light pressure, because this isn't a very sharp, it may look like a sharp line, but it really isn't. There is still somewhat of a transition between that and the rest of his arm. I'm going to do the outline on the inner side of his arm, and then do light pressure and circular motions, filling in all the areas in which you see that brown. And then slowly fade it outwards by doing even lighter pressure as you go out. This helps with a nice transition, nice smooth texture, gives the effect of a nice blend. Pencils do not blend easily, so you gotta have the right technique to create that effect. Okay, now there's a brown color on the bottom part of his arm, so we're going to do really tight circular motions to define the shape. You want to be able to define that shape and also have it somewhat soft. So we don't want to have like a really dark line. You can always build up on it later. Okay, we're going to go over it with some larger circles just on the inner part of that arm. I'm going to go over it a couple of times to help build up that color a bit more. Just light pressure and circular motions, trying to really fill it in, have no gaps. And then we're going to fade it outwards by going even lighter pressure as you move out. There's more of like a blue color in here, but I still do see the brown just in the corner of his arm right here. So I'm going to do very tight circular motions right where we see that dark brown, because we still want it to be soft. And then we're going to slowly get softer and lighter pressure as we go outwards to have a nice blended look. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of that blue in there. It's kind of like a reflected light from the shirt. Just a little bit. There's not a whole bunch. I think I'm going to bring in that coral color just to warm up the rest of it. So I'm doing some harder pressure where I see more color, and then lighter pressure where I kind of see that color but it's faded. So like it's going to be a bit more pressure in the corner here. We're still trying to do very nice light pressure because we want to be able to add more layers. Adding more layers is what helps create that photorealistic finish. And I kind of see like an orangish color in some areas too. Like it's still like a pretty warm brown. Mostly in the crease, in the upper part of the arm. It's a very small amount. So I'm going to do some circular motions and light pressure over top of those areas. Again, make it even, like make it transition into the other colors by doing even lighter pressure. His face is quite paler than his arms. I think the reason why his face is so pale is because he had really long hair for a while, and that was the weekend where he got his hair cut. So he got a lot of sun on his arms, but not a lot on his face. So we're just still building up the colors, using the colors that we see that we need to add additionally to what we are using. Using the different colors, multiple different colors, really helps with the realistic look at the end. Because like, you look at your arm, the main colors is pink, white, and yellow are the main colors, but you can still see the blue from the veins underneath. Also, shadows tend to be of a cooler color, like blues and greens. And then the highlights usually are a nice warm color, like yellows and orange. And then you also get the reflected colors of the colors you're wearing or that's around you from the sun bouncing off of them. It's not just one color all the way through. It's a bunch of different colors underneath stuff, beside it. It's just a lot. Anyways, we did do quite a bit today, even though it may not seem like it. Because we did the forehead, we finished the ear, we did the forehead, the cheek, the chin, and started his arm. I am still planning on building up more shadows on the face and the arms after we get the right placement and the structure of the drawing. So I'm planning on going live for about 2 hours every day, Monday through Thursday here on my TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Around 10 to 12-ish Mountain Time Daylight Savings. So that's the plan. It may be sooner, it may be later, it may be longer, it might be shorter, but that's generally the goal, is to be on for about a couple of hours a day. I am going live every Friday from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. On the Vinci Eye App YouTube channel. Those you can draw along with me from beginning to end. These ones in these lives are, I am going to be drawing them offline, so you won't get to see the whole process all the way through. But there's reference photos you can download and stuff to draw from beginning to end with me on those Vinci Eye Apps lives. If you want to try the app that I'm currently using, I have a promo code for the iOS, so you can try it for free for an entire year. Android is right now free with some ads for some features. So it's a great time to use it. You can use it for free until they decide to start charging for it, like the iOS. But I recommend buying it as soon as you know that you're going to use the app often enough to make it worth your while. Then pay for it as soon as possible. If prices do change, you will be grandfathered into the price that you originally paid for. I got mine before I started working for the Vinci Eye App. I got mine when it was a one-time payment only, and I've never had to pay for it ever again. Probably wouldn't have anyways, but that's just so you know. If you can't direct message me for a promo code on the streaming platform that you're watching this on, find me on Facebook or Instagram under Charity Loves Art, or go to my YouTube channel and send a comment on there. But I recommend Facebook or Instagram would probably be the easiest way to have a continuous conversation. So anyways, that's me in a nutshell. I do more than just portrait work. I've done a bunch of different stuff too, but portrait is my passion. So Thank you so much for all your support, and I'll see you hopefully tomorrow.